So my presentation is about Saint Therese of the Little Flower, also known as Saint Therese of Lisieux. Yeah. So on the image on the right, you can see there is a representation of Saint Therese holding the crucifix and some flowers. Saint Therese's life. Saint Therese was born on January 2nd, 1873. She grew up in Alençon, France, and on September 30th, 1897, she died. Saint Therese was 24 years old when she died, and for me, that is a very young age to die. A major event in life for Saint Therese was Saint Therese's mother died when she was 4 years old. At age 15, she entered the Carmelites convents in Lisieux, and the Virgin Mary came to Saint Therese at a very young age. So Saint Therese had images of the Virgin Mary and of Jesus and of God at a very young age, and I think that is why at age 15 she entered the Carmelites convents in Lexington, which means that Saint Therese became a nun. A dedicated place to Saint Therese is the Carmel de Lux. This is where Saint Therese became a nun, and this is on the right, there is an altar, and this is a place where you can come visit a representation of Saint Therese, and you can pray to her, and some people bring her flowers to, like, appreciate her. It's very nice, in my opinion. The second location that is dedicated to Saint Therese is the house where she grew up, and you can have a tour of the house. You can visit how she used to live as a child, where she lived. So yeah. The reason why I picked Saint Therese was because of my grandmother. Her name was Tere, and it was short for Teresa, and Therese and Teresa mean the same thing. It's just in Spanish. And my grandma always had a picture of Saint Therese on the wall, and every time I would go visit her, or I would see that image of Saint Therese on the wall, I would always ask her who that was. So I just wanted to learn a little bit more of Saint Therese and her life and why she was so important to my grandma. Saint Therese, I have her little middle name, also known as also known I have my middle name is Teresita, and that is another name for Therese. Teresa, Therese, Teresita. These all mean the same thing. They are all the same names in Spanish. So that's another reason why I wanted to learn more about Saint Therese, was because I have her name and my middle name dedicated to my grandmother, and she just inspires me to see the positive things in any situation, in a problem, because throughout her life, Saint Therese suffered a lot, especially from a young age of becoming a nun and leaving her family, her loved ones, like everything behind, her whole life, just to become devoted to God. I think that is a big thing to do, especially at the age 15. Saint Therese, she is the patron saint of missionaries, AIDS sufferings, florists, and the sick. She is the patron saint of missionaries because she joined a missionary at a young age. Like I said before, she was 15 years old when she became a nun. So this just helps people that are going to become a nun, a priest. It just helps them have a person there for them, I guess. They can pray for them and look up to them. She is the patron saint of AIDS suffering and the sick because at a young age, 23 and 24, she was diagnosed with tuberculosis, and during the time there was no cure for tuberculosis, so she suffered a lot of pain knowing that she was affecting the nuns around her, the people around her, because there was no cure. So that's a big thing during her life. When she was sick, she always tried to be happy by looking at flowers and praying to God, and that's how she was happy during her time of being sick. And Saint Therese loved flowers because she believed she was one of God's little flowers on earth, and that's why she is the patron saint of florists, because she believed she was sent to earth, and she just admired flowers and their beauty, so she believed that she was one of God's flowers on earth. The model of inspiration of holiness that Saint Therese brings to me, in my opinion, she followed God by leaving everything behind, the wealth from her father, her loved ones, her sisters, everything. She left everything behind to devote her life to God and to become a nun. But I think she had a calling of becoming a nun because she had visions of Mary, of Jesus, of God. And like I said before, she suffered tuberculosis. At the time, there was no cure, and her mother's death, and when she became a nun, her father died shortly after. So she definitely suffered a lot of deaths during her life, but she always tried to see the bright things and stuff, the bright things on any situation. So I think I inspire her a lot for that. So yeah. Um going to the place that represent a representation of Saint Therese here in France. You can see here there is a statue of Saint Therese with the crucifix and the flowers, and at the bottom of the statue there are images and flowers that people bring to this statue representation of her, and asking for help from her to help them be strong and to help them pray for the sick children or family members of there. And back here you can see there is this house, and it is a pretty big house for during that time. Her father was wealthy. She did not live in poverty, and you can have a tour of her house, and this is a representation. This is her house where she grew up, and you can take a tour and see how she grew up, what they left behind. So that's a thing you can do if you ever go to France. And the second location is here, the Rue de Carmel, and this is the nun sanctuary where Saint Therese became a nun, and this is in this chapel or church. You can find the statue of the image that I showed, and you can go visit it and pray to it, I guess, and bring a flower if you want. But in this building, it's a pretty big building, actually, honestly. This is where nuns live, nuns that have devoted their life for Christ, just like Saint Therese did. And they just live in this house. So this is why I picked Saint Therese, because she inspires me to be a better person and to see the bright things in life. I hope you guys learned something from this, I guess. I don't really know. But yeah. Thank you for taking your time for watching this. Okay, now I'm gonna leave. Bye. I don't know why am I being awkward. Yeah. Okay, bye.